What you say?
Bing, 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 bing. Yeah. Yeah.
Does it go? No, it doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Amigos and Co. I'm Legion Vapes, and you're... Welcome to all your face holes in YouTube. This is Monday/Tuesday on the Amigos and Co. I am definitely not Legion Vapes of Northern New South Wales. My name is Adam, also known as Breeze Tones, also known as That Guy, also known as Hey You, Give Me Back My Wallet. We'd like to welcome Vandalberry Juice all the way from Las Vegas. Hi Chris. How's it going? And also, obviously, the real Legion Vapes of Legion Vape Industries of Northern New South Wales. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Mr. Sheen, how you doing?
Yep. I'd like to make sure in chat that everyone can hear us, Mr. Sheen. I'm going to address that in a second. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear us in chat because I think my software is working okay, hopefully.
Crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. If not, then I will take the Steve Legion OBS streaming school of what to do.
You know what to do? Buy more hardware.
Yeah.
That's literally the only solution I found is to buy hardware that does what the software fails at doing drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you know, there are plenty of people who stream and never have issues, and then it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Like today, I worked out with my particular streaming software is every time it does an update, it goes back to default. Everything that I have saved on the streaming software, it just defaults. So hence why Mr. Vandal has come through on the goods. Ammoniac, no potatoes, surprisingly. Well, I'm really sorry about that. That's unfortunate that everything...
It's just the start of the show. Give us time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We can always introduce potatoes.
Yeah, indeed. So, it's... can't believe it. It's working. So, fingers crossed that we make it through the hour and a bit. Fellas, happy Monday/Tuesday to you both. I hope things are going well.
As well as can be expected. Sunday was a really, really heavy day in terms of the show. We had some potatoes at the start, which really threw me, and then just so much good information, so much heavy information, both positive and negative in that. And so yesterday, I just kind of felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I just really didn't want to move. I was going to do, I have half a video in a can and I was going to finish it up and I just didn't have the motivation. I just kind of felt like floored. But today I woke up and I'm feeling a bit more motivated, but it's fucking cold. Yeah. It's so cold now. I mean, as you can tell, I've got multiple layers of flannel on and yeah. But other than that, I'm doing okay. I'm doing well.
It was a lot, wasn't it? And just to go back to that, I'm sure that there's plenty of people who have been watching it on the replay. We had Dr. Colin Mendelsohn on the Aussie Vape Show. It was very Australia, centralised around Australia, Australian news, upcoming October 1, nicotine situations. Yeah, it was a lot of information, but some surprising takeaways from that. And if we can just talk about that for a second, because a lot of countries have talked about a prescription model and all that sort of stuff. And one of the biggest takeaways for me, that Colin was guesstimating that of the potential 500,000 vapors in this country who are using e-liquid with nicotine, he suggested that potentially 2% of those users currently have a prescription, and whether that be not being able to access a doctor who will help them, and or people just not wanting to be having their liberties taken away from them by having to get a prescription. I was just shocked by that. I was shocked.
what I find quite frustrating, one of the most wonderful parts of Australia, the Australian psyche, its culture, this whole anti-authoritarian larrikin element. They don't want to be told what to do, and they do it with not arrogance and not hostility, but with a sense of humor. It's an awesome part of Australia. I really do like it. But at the same time, you have 500,000 vapors. Now, I know that, I don't get 500,000 views per episode that I do on my channel. So they're not paying attention to what I say. They're getting their news elsewhere. And just that combination of those who don't know what's going on, those who know what's going on, but fuck you, I'll just do what I want to do anyway. And those who full larrikin spirit figure that they'll find some way around it because the government can't keep us down, which all things I admire.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as we kept trying to reiterate, not only on that episode, but anytime you and I, Adam, have talked about the prescription, that thing that we don't like it, we don't want it, we don't agree with it, but it is the current situation, and you will be fucked if you get caught. Yeah. I mean, cannot say this hard enough. It is, it's the AFB. It's not your local police. This is not like, you spat at your girlfriend and now you're going to get an AVO order. This is literally equivalent to bringing in a pound of crack. This is a full federal crime. We don't agree with it. We don't like it. But if you don't have that prescription, and it's literally a case of making a phone call, 10-minute Zoom call, having it on your phone. It's as simple as that. If you don't do that, you will be nailed. This is what's happening on October 1st. I find it very, very frustrating that there's, like I said, 2 to 5% have stepped up, gotten their prescription, and the rest are just leaving things to be whatever they are. And they are going to find that they're very, very surprised come October how things turn out for them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
I was going to ask. So like here in the States, because, there's so much, this is my experience, right? There's so much media going on and stuff like that. It was kind of niche to find news for vaping unless like a local news page did it, and usually it was a negative light. It seems like from a lot of stuff that I've seen from Australia that this has been pretty mainstream news for the prescription stuff, like at least on like what we would call our Fox 5 or our local TVs, right? Because I've seen a lot, at least on Facebook. I obviously don't have your news channels here, but would you say there's a big portion of people that just don't know?
Huge.
Oh, there's an incredible amount of people that don't know. I mean, there is. Okay, let's be honest. Whether you're a vapor or not, most people are a little bit thick, a little bit slow. Talking en masse, humanity is fucking stupid. We are. And so there's this information that comes in and we don't pay attention to it. It flies over our head. Even if we read it, good chances that 2 weeks later we've forgotten what we read. And my wife actually brought this up in conversation this morning. What happens? I mean, right now, you're a smoker. Oh, I think I'll try the vaping thing. I go online, do some learning. I go to Vaporize. I order some stuff. It comes shipped to me. I'm happily vaping. Okay, great. Now I'll order some more because this is working. What happens to someone who does that in, say, November? How do they know that things have changed? How do they know that there's a new law in place? I'm absolutely certain. I mean, my answer to her was, yeah, well, in October, they're going to do some press releases. We'll see some news stories. They'll be front page. But 2 weeks after, people will have forgotten what they read. They will, because this is just a general way. If you're not actively into something at that point in time, it's just one of another headlines flying past you all the time. So much information. A month or two later, if then you decide to quit, that's something that you may have forgotten. I mean, how are they going to deal with that? Some poor little old lady down the road decides that she's got to quit her 30-year habit. She gives this newfangled technology a try, and now she's a criminal.
So my question is, the websites that you would order from out there, at least the local ones, do you guys have a lot of local companies you could order from? And then would it be like something that are they advertising the law coming up and the change or anything on the website?
Depends on the vendor, but most likely they have tabs on the Australian sites, to give you a little bit of information about nicotine. They all state, it's not.
But it's not in your face, like, hey, be registered for
not
this.
Really, yeah, because I think also that, like Steve was saying, the guidance at the moment with advertising and that whole situation of what vendors can actually communicate is being strangled, so there will be less of that. But just getting back to what you were saying, Chris, about news items, as Steve was talking, I was thinking to myself as well, not only is there going to be like a push from us or the consumer advocates, but there's also going to be pushed by the antis. So they're the ones with the money, and they're the ones that are going to get the news stories. And then you've also got the news outlets who are going to favor a certain situation.
Right.
So interesting.
Well, they gotta shine the light.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see, because all of that stuff is going to come out at the last moment. Like, it won't be a nice gentle roll in snowball. It'll just be this is happening.
Act here, they did that at the last second and rolled it right into the bill.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the TGA will do some announcements, and they'll be translated inaccurately into headlines such as "Vaping is legal now," with a prescription in very small letters, and that will just, it'll be biased. It'll be put out there, maybe in a positive spin, maybe not. Depends who's publishing it. But at the meantime, from now until then, we've just got this gradual increase of, oh my God, all the schools are inundated with vape pens now.
Yeah.
And puff bars are taking over in Queensland. And who's
American
bringing in all, it's I've seen it starting to snowball. So it's an absolute mess in terms of the amount of information that's being put out there and how it's disseminated and how clear it is. But I do think, back to what Chris was asking, we do have, because we can't buy nicotine-bearing liquids in Australia. So you said local. To us, local is, for that sense, New Zealand. And I'm pretty sure that we are such a major part of their market that they will have click-throughs and infographics, et cetera, on their front page. Like, if you put in your address... if you put in
their customers don't register, they can't sell to them. It's a loss of business. It's only smart on that end.
And the last thing they will want to do is ship something out, have it be destroyed. Now you have issues with the customer claiming, "Oh, well, you didn't let me know," or "I didn't know," all that. So they're gonna cover their ass.
Yeah.
Which I expect to see. The other ones, Heilig, are pretty good. They're in China, and they're pretty good about covering the legal sides when they're shipping out to different places. They'll have that in there. There are a lot of U.S.-based places that ship to Australia. I think Nude Nicotine is one of them. They probably won't have anything because we're just another country in the world as far as they're concerned. They're not too tied to our market. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be an absolute mess.
But sorry, Steve.
Go on.
I was just going to say the one good thing is that the kind of regulations that they've put on, child safety, the labels, all that sort of thing. Like, the industry worldwide has already self-regulated itself to do that. So I can't see there being a big issue of those overseas companies having to change a whole bunch of stuff just to be able to send into this country. So that's
The only real issue I've seen in terms of what they're proposing is in the disclosure of ingredients.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure if that applies to personal import. It's unclear. Does that only apply to stuff being sold onshore? Like, if it's brought in and sold through a pharmacy, then we need the ingredients. But if you import it, whatever, it's whatever you bring in.
Pretty sure that's what Colin was saying. Colin was saying that anything through the pharmaceutical model must be stringent against the TG 110 or whatever.
Well, so that there's always someone to blame and someone's asked to cover with
100%. Yeah, 100%.
The other thing that popped into my mind this morning, just in a comparative sense, and I know American viewers are watching this with that sort of aghast nature, like, oh my God, prescriptions. You need prescriptions. That's ridiculous. And we agree. We agree. We don't want them. It is what we have to deal with. But when you compare the FDA in the States, who Food and Drugs Administration, they cover a lot of different things, and the TGA, which is therapeutic goods. So we're talking about medicines and medical properties. There's slightly different angles in how they approach things. And so even though they're equivalent in power in their respective countries, they have a different mandate. It affects how things trickle down. And one thing that I was so glad for is that we do have a TGA, not an FDA, because when you guys look at regulation of vaping products, you're talking about tanks, you're talking about coils, you're talking about wire and batteries.
Yeah,
exactly. And our regulations. Our regulations very clearly state that they only cover nicotine-bearing e-liquids. Yeah. If it comes in a pod, it covers the pod. If it comes in a bottle, it covers that bottle. It does not cover wire, cotton, batteries,
it's a
tweezers.
Smart approach to it. Well, with what we're doing is like FDA is the dumbest people, just to interject real fast, is to put in charge of this, and that's why I think it's a little bit of a smarter move, a little bit more of aggressive move to move to ATF, which it should be alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Yeah. Because in the States, it's not there's no therapeutics like considered with nicotine whatsoever. There's no therapeutic whatever. Yeah. So you guys, your country has a little bit of a smarter hold on nicotine by doing it through like a medicinal kind of purpose. And doing it that way. In the United States, it's flavored in for consumption. Fucking slap it in the same regulations as the guy that checks bags of fucking beef jerky and potato chips. Yeah. He'll figure it out. Yeah.
Another thing that popped into my mind this morning, like I said, I have good conversations with the wife. They spark good ideas. And one of them was just kind of a ray of hope. And I know that we've talked about Dr. John Scarrett before, and we're not a big fan of his in this community. I know Adam isn't. But let me just be devil's advocate for the moment and say, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, just for 1 second. He strikes me as the kind of person who is a doctor, a scientist, someone who definitely wants to be overly cautious, more cautious than not. And if you take those things into account, his actions make a lot more sense. And that question I did ask Colin, where we're talking about how patches and gums were introduced, were pharmacy only, prescription only, moved to being pharmacy only, no prescription, moved to being freely available in supermarkets and stuff over time as they prove themselves with Australian evidence, because we're a weird country that does not like to look at overseas documentation. It does kind of provide me with a ray of hope that perhaps we do have, golden age to look forward to where, we have to deal with the prescription now, but they've opened the door. What's coming up sounds scary, but it's better than completely illegal or no regulation, which may move to, it may move to pharmacies can provide it, but you don't need a prescription anymore, which may move to, the vape shops can carry it over time. Just because, like I said, I do feel he's being overly cautious, but that seems to be in his nature. We've seen the same thing happening with medical marijuana in this country. The reason why it's taken so long and the reason why it's still at the state it's at now is because they're just carefully watching and then moving that gate forward and seeing what happens, and then they move it forward a little bit more. So I got my fingers crossed, and I know what I'm saying is very unpopular opinion. We all just don't want to like the TGA for what they're doing, but it is perhaps possible.
My perception of all this too, with what they're doing with you guys with the prescriptions, it's a good thing to go. Like, I get it. You don't want to be tracked by your government. It should be your government should have all its control over the things you choose as an adult in your life and things. But this is going to show them you should definitely go out and do this prescription, because it's going to show them the numbers of their citizens that actually use these products and attain these products, and they help how many people. And I get it, we're all going to be a rebel, and do all that stuff, fuck the government, and do all this shit. Believe me, I'm a big proponent of sticking the government's butt as someone that worked for the government, and I've loved my service. But the thing is now you're going to give them the chance to see how many of you use this and have that in this regulated state, just like Steve said about start here and then eventually move here with the patches and the gum and all that. Same thing happened in the United States. I understand we're a little ass backwards here, but it started out with prescriptions, then it went to far over the counter, and now you can walk into any 7-Eleven and buy Nicorette gum, and it's not even hidden behind the cigarette counter. It's right in front of you. And not that that's the same way, exact way the vaping is going to go, but it's going to be that kind of breakdown once you normalize it. That's the biggest issue, is seeing how many people use it's going to normalize it. And then if your government finds a way to make a little bit of money off of your vices, that's way better than having them outlawed outright. Yeah, pay a little bit more tax. That sucks. But at least you still get your products that help you stay off of something that was way worse for you. You know what I mean?
Well,
and this is your time to do your part for your government, not your government's turn to do it for you.
In a very short amount of time as well, the numbers were, thrown around, 250,000 vapors, and then, very quickly within a year it was 500,000. So by the time they actually, get any kind of data, it'll be 750,000 and potentially, getting close to that million situation, considering the stalling smoking rates and that whole situation there. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to compound into a situation of, okay, maybe we've done this wrong, so.
And the thing is too, like, that's a whole base of people for the next politician classes that come up in your guys' future elections or whatever to stand on. That's a hill for them to stand on, is for your rights. As if you had 500,000 people signed up for these prescriptions, that's a whole voter base right there that can flip something for somebody. And then if you get the right politician.
Here's the thing. The enforcement comes in October 1st. And it looks very strongly like we're heading towards an election in November. So that's right after. Yeah. So, you never know.
Yeah. But it's, to sum all that up, definitely go back and watch the replay crew situation of Dr. Colin. He's got, a million things that man says is it's common sense and very good information. So you can see that on Steve Legion of Legion Vapes Industries YouTube channel. Definitely leave Legion a stupid comment, because he loves replying to those. Definitely do that. X1 in chat. Fellas, thank you, Big Rick. We will do that. Let's move to the buffet. Yeah. Vandal, what are you putting in your face hole today?
So I can't taste salt nicks anymore.
What?
I thought I had COVID at first. I was like, so the last week and a half, right? I got my Caliburn and I got my salt nicks. I usually got like an Anarchist blue or purple in it, whatever. I'm just doing my thing. I've stopped using my full size mod quite significantly to vape these. So anyways, my Caliburn, I kept getting the fucking it tastes like a burnt kind of taste and a slight amount of the flavoring, right? And I was like, man, what's going on here? So I thought maybe I've had these Caliburns for almost a year. Maybe they're starting to get all messed up. I use them in the shower. I use them when I'm walking the dog. Maybe it's, it hit its use and it's overburning the coils. Okay, cool. So when I got into the office today, I went and put another Caliburn on my tab. And I put the strongest minty flavor, which I can get, which is Cool Rush by Vapor Treats, by the way. And I could barely taste the mint. I was like, what the fuck? Do I have COVID? I was like, shit, I'm already at work. Everyone's going to die. And then, so anyways, I pull out my full-size mod out of my backpack, and it's fucking gross because, I haven't used it in a while. There's, dog hair and stuff on it. Hit it. I could taste it. So anyways, I'm vaping hot air out of my Caliburn. And then, long story short, I got my Veep Gape with the goat on top and Anarchist orange.
Yeah. That's interesting about not being able to taste it, but you're not one to really, change between flavors, though, right?
No, not really.
No.
I usually stay around the same ones because I try something that's not of ones I've had before, and I usually hate it. Like the other day, I'm not trying to talk crap or nothing, but we had a shelf of some stuff that was from our previous retail stock we can't get rid of, so it's in our wholesale stock now. And it's a salt nick, and it was this Okami green apple, and it's a salt nick, like I said, and I keep repeating it's a salt nick. So anyways, the salt, no. But so I was like, you know what? There was regular in free base juice. It was great. I was like, awesome. I'll try it in the salt nick. Put it in my Caliburn and vaped it. That stuff tasted like straight up just like dirt hot summer air. It was the worst. And that's why, and that happens 8 out of 9 times I try a new juice. So I usually don't do it because I guess I'm very specific. It has to be smothered in sugar and I have to get cavities from it. You know what I mean? Like that. I have to, that's my favorite. You
don't just want hot air. You want hot, sweet air.
I want some hot, sweet air, like the air that came off that girl in that Sweet Cherry Pie music video when they had the fans blowing on her,
Bobby Brown.
A little bit of hot diet Dr. Pepper, and some fucking, Newports, and oh my God, no. But yeah.
You're telling me you want to vape some poon sauce.
guess I didn't know until now. Poon sauce. No.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
would
so-
definitely X1 that for sure. Poon sauce,
Yeah,
me
almost
hot
a maniac in the chat. He says, "I love sour minutes." And I liked it in the freebase juice. Apparently, in the salt nick, it just wasn't for me. But yeah, so that's what I'm vaping on. Steve, you're very cloudy. Let's go ahead and see what you're up to, dude.
I am very cloudy. It's because the light is between me and the camera, and so the clouds just they light up more than I can see the camera, but you can't see me. Is what I'm saying.
This is Legion shower session, by the way.
Yes. Actually, I'm being really, really lazy right now. I've only got 3 setups, and they're mostly stuff you've all seen before. Still vaping on this bad boy. This is the ZX from Geek Vape, the Obelisk 120. It's a nice, solid setup. One of the things I like about it, I got 2 of them, and they charge in 15 minutes, so I just swap them back and forward as I need. This, unfortunately, I think I've gone through the last coil. This one's just about done. And I've got that really, really tangy Shisha Clouds Ice Lemon in there. You can't see that. Why am I showing the screen? Should show the camera. I'm really bad at YouTubing. That's my main setup that I've been vaping on, but that coil's about dead. I've got the Aegis Legend 2 and the new version of the Z Tank. Again, not because it's good, but I'm not vaping it because it's good. I'm vaping it because it's here. I'm really feeling lazy this week. Daily Grind Coconut Mocha. Again, you can't read the bottle, but it's Daily Grind Coconut Mocha. It's really nice. It's got a really strong, rich coconut. Almost tastes the flakes. That's how good it is. Those 2 are my main go-tos. And whenever I get up and walk around or actually leave the house, I'm vaping this, which looks like a lipstick. And if I didn't turn on the top can, so I can't give you a close-up, but it's got gold accents and it's got a swirly pattern built into it, and it's almost like you want to turn it to pop out the tip and just a little bit of lippy. But it's what is this again? I've been using it. I can't remember what it is. It's the Kipo from Univapo. It's stylish, not quite my style, but it works. It's a basic draw to inhale. Anarchist Black because. There we go. Because I, too, need a little bit of hot sweetness in my mouth every now and then.
Definitely far too posh for your liking, obviously.
And now you can't see me. Literally, that's it. I've got the this one. I'm halfway through the review of this tank. Forget the college it's on. And you can't see the logo on the front. But the brand name is YDDZ. And this may be why I haven't done the FaceTime section, because, hey, folks, welcome back to Legion Vapes. Today we're looking at the
QWERTY keyboard.
Yeah. Not only is it a horrible name, but they slapped it on the side in the most hideous little logo. It's a nice-looking tank with a horrible logo slapped on the side that I can't pronounce, so... We'll get to that tomorrow.
Maybe it's the sound it makes when you breathe in through it. It's like,
Wasn't there one that had that little fan in there?
Yes.
Oh, if you guys are wondering, Adam K sent me a bottle of coffee milkshake, DIY liquid. Really nice liquid. But man, do I taste popcorn. Popcorn.
butter flavor, maybe.
Yeah. Diacetyl. Yep. I haven't got anything new either, but I am vaping the Abis with the Ether Bridge in there, and there's some, what did we call it the other day? Banana cream booty from Baked. I thought that was the best name ever, and I told Nick that he missed a treat there. Banana cream booty. I also have the Denali 20X700 with the Nightmare 25 on there. That's the all-day banger, but I decided to rock the Fancy Donkey version of this one. In there is actually some strawberry caramel, also from the Backed line, which was provided to me by Mr. Vapors Hayes in WA. So for any Australians watching, you can get it from Vapors Hayes in WA online and stuff. I'm also vapping the Bridged in the Billet box. In there is Frankenatticus Birdman Swirl. Birdman Swirl from Frankenatticus, which is very tasty in a little borrow device. But I'm also vapping the Ether Tank. I pulled this out recently because it just sits on my bench, and I have far too many other things that vape very good. I didn't love the ether tank because I really wanted it to be a restricted direct lung situation over MTL. It does vape very well, don't get me wrong, but I put in there some 6 milligram because I'm an adult that requires nicotine consumption, and I had some bottles of 6 milligram that were given to me at the expo that we went to a while ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put them in there and see what happens. And I've got a triple 32 tiny alien in there, which is a very dainty little what for, and it's vaping really well. And I figured, you know what, because I carry a Caliburn G all around as well. That's like my little pocket banger, and I'm sick of them leaking into my pocket because I'm a small hobbit and I like to dance. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a little pod killer, and this is performing very well. So I'm very, very happy with that little device. And that has actually some Bogan brews, fair dinkum. Oh, too right, fair dinkum cobber. Some of that. And I don't normally vape the fruits like this either, but it's a nice little palate cleanser. So yeah.
It's nice to switch things up every now and then.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm picking sides here. What did you say, Vandal?
I said, does a flavor show up when you hit it or after you're done? I'm just wondering.
It's during and post. Yeah, but it's I think I can't remember if the fair dinkum is the lychee one. I could be wrong. It's very fruit, but maybe this is a little bit old. This e-liquid, it's not straight up. I think it's lychee blackcurrant. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
I haven't tried it. The only one of his line I've tried was the Duck's Nuts, which was the Duck's Nuts. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I have to actually add that to my list. Get some more.
Yeah, I think this is lychee blackcurrant. It's a very specific kind of thing, and I can see why Sam chose some of these profiles, because I'm sure it goes very well with a nice cold frothy. Not normally my style of e-liquid, but it's vaping really nice, and why not?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just want to point out to Anthony Rommel in the chat that if I was on Hash, I wouldn't be talking. I'd just be.
Wow, I didn't even see that comment. I can't believe I didn't get an opportunity to retort. Yeah.
The best part is like that's what Steve looks like when he's not doing it live. He never leaves that desk. He just sits there, and then he turns off like a robot, and then his wife comes in every morning and turns him on.
I don't know why. I just had the image.
Does indeed.
Yeah, I had the image of when it's that scene when they're setting up Luke Skywalker when he's at the Jabba the Hutt's fortress, and Jabba's on the big platform, and they move him back and forward and stuff like that, and we just move Steve into the. Not that I'm implying that you're Jabba the Hutt, Steve, but I was more the whole scene where they moved to different parts of the room. That was.
Wow.
See, if you actually could see from like this level down, there's no body here. There's just a central pole and some wiring. I'm wired into the computer. It's all electronic down there.
Yeah.
I'm actually completely artificial.
Oh dear.
I did have something I want to talk about, but I gotta go grab it real quick, and it's something that we talked about before.
Cool.
We talked about me doing random reviews on things. I went to an international market, but let me go grab what I got, because this will be the inauguration, and then this week I'm going to do it on Instagram stories. I'm going to leave them on my thing. I'm going to review random dumb stuff. But I got something to start it out. Since we're on YouTube, it has to be food. It has to be food.
Nice.
So I'll be right back.
Yeah. Awesome.
While he does that, I was going to ask you, just out of curiosity, I know that you make your coils for consumption, and anyone that is not up to your quality goes into a bucket. That's your vape bin, and you grab from that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you ever find yourself, like, do you go, this requires whatever kind of coil, I don't have that, I'm just going to make one? Do you pick up like the ether and go, this requires a coil that doesn't exist, I'm just going to invent one and just do one right off the bat just to try it out?
So yes and no. There's no doubt that the coils that I currently offer are all based off addies that I use. I didn't just go, you know what, I want to make a triple 26, 27, 28. I mean, they're very standard kind of things that a lot of builders do, but there's very good reason why, because they're, applicable in many many different addies that come out, I guess. But there is no doubt that all of them have been tested against an addy that I thought those sizing, would be the best in. And also, no doubt, the singles stuff, MTL, my MTL coil even, like those coils were really based off decks. Like I'm a massive fan of using the coil for the deck as opposed to using the coil for performance-based vaping, so hence why, people go, oh, I wish it had one more wrap, or I wish it was this gauge, or that kind of thing, and then I always go back to that, but hang on a second, I developed this particular spec off, a specific deck, which was always kind of why it said that. I mean, the MTL was the K-Fun deck. And yes, there are, before the K-Fun, sorry, I'm going to keep rabbiting on about this, but that's a very important point, I believe, Steve. My favorite MTL tank at that point was the Steam Crave Mini Glaz. It's not an amazing tank, but I think it performs very well. It's not mind-blowing, but that deck is considerably bigger than a K-Fun, no doubt. Yeah. So I was having to change the coil to get the performance out of it, and then I was like, well, hang on a second, that's silly. Or silly to build a coil to just be like, well, I'm trying to change the performance of the addy, as opposed to why am I not doing what the deck is telling me, So when the K-Fun, that's the nicest MTL thing that I own, and there's no doubt that there's probably subjective opinions about better MTL tanks spending money.
I think that you actually raised a great point. I think a great analogy. My grandfather was a sculptor, and he worked in a lot of different mediums, but whenever he got a big chunk of wood in, it would sit in the center of his studio, and he'd work around it, and every now and then he'd come over and look at it, he'd touch it, he'd do all that sort of wanky stuff, and the wood would tell him what was in there, and he would carve shapes and directions to go with the grain and the shape of the wood. Yeah. And I think it's kind of very similar. You're saying that the deck should guide your coil choice 100%. Rather than trying to jam. I've got great coils. I'll find a way to make these work.
Yeah.
So you're not building like a reviewer, because we do the worst thing possible. These are my favorite. These are my Breestones coils. I'm just going to slap them in every single thing that I've got. Mm-hmm. We'll find a way to make it fit.
Yeah.
And you're going the other way around, which is why I asked that question initially. Like, do you ever find yourself going, I've got a new device in, none of my coils seem to be right. I think this really cries out for a single 4 mil, really low resistance. I don't have any of those on offer. It should probably be a four gauge on the inside. Let's just quickly spin one of those up to see how that works.
Yeah. But again, I'm a one-trick pony, so aliens are really the only thing that I'm interested in. So I don't go, what, this needs a staple or those kind of things. Definitely, definitely not. But and it could be argued that my specs are no different than anybody else. So but I 100% agree that because of that whole situation of people making assumptions of a particular device because of the coil that they were using, or they couldn't get the performance that they wanted. I wanted it at 0.1 at 90 watts, and why isn't this working? Why isn't this great? The deck. Have a look at the deck and the airflow and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a firm believer of that. You don't want to have to change too much, but also vape the device for what it was intended for. Anyway, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
So this weekend
I'm excited.
Went to an international market, and we decided to pick up some stuff. And I was like, me and Steve have been making this joke kind of, or like, everyone does reviews, in this community. Not everyone, but a good portion of the people do reviews and all that stuff. So I'm gonna start this week doing random reviews, and they're gonna be called Randall's Reviews, and it's gonna be on Instagram. But I figured we'd start it out on Monday since me and Steve always talk about it. I went to the international market, and oh my God, I gotta tell you, why does everyone eat so much fish? That shit stinks. Like, why do you eat fish? It's gross, and you're gross. No, I'm kidding. But there's so much fish there. Anyways, I was going through, and they have the average stuff. You can get a weird ramen or something, I'm 14-year-old girl, follow me, like and subscribe. I didn't want to do all that. So I found the ugliest, coolest looking fruit I could find, and it's called a rambutan.
Oh, yes.
It looks like a testicle.
Yep.
or coronavirus, whichever one you prefer. So Randall's review this week is of this rambutan, and they're never going to be more than 2 minutes at most. And I'm just going to give you straight to the point. If I can even cut this thing, I don't even know how to do it. I just Googled it once. Anyways, it's related to the lychee fruit. When you pull it off, that's what it looks like. It's supposed to be sweet.
What's
I
it
ain't
smell
gonna lie to
like?
you. This shit looks like
See,
plastic.
now it really looks like a testicle.
Yeah. So it's like a giant ass grape. I give it a 3 out of 10. There's Randall's reviews.
Is it tart? Is it sweet? Is it?
It's sweet, but it's definitely so like have you ever had like a giant purple grape or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those, but it's got a seed in the middle. So it's like the avocado of grapes. This is why you guys come here, right? This kind of content, anyways. And I gotta be honest with you. Meh.
It gets a meh rating.
Yeah, it's meh.
Meh. 3 mehs out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta run with this. You gotta get your own special Instagram channel for it if you're not gonna do it on YouTube. And if you're gonna call it Randall's Reviews, I beg of you, rip off the Rolls Royce logo with the double R's. Please find a way to make that your own.
With Vandal just on a car like this.
Yes.
Running like Naruto. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you peel it off. That's what it looks like. I wonder though.
Yep. Definitely.
So I'd say the consistency is my facial hair.
That should be so much a part of what you do, like inappropriately and wrongly using stuff like checking the texture on the back of your head. Yeah, it's kind of rough and stubbly. Doesn't feel like my girlfriend's legs. I don't like it.
Yeah, so that's gonna be the whole point of it. Like Steve said, I'm just gonna do stupid shit like that because why not?
Yep.
Why not?
Nice.
A lot of people review things that no one cares about. That's what I aim to do.
Yeah, Homicidal Maniac is saying there more money in TikTok, so you should.
More money in TikTok, but see the thing is no. TikTok, man, I keep like, all right, not to sound like my age or anything, but TikTok to me is like what our parents must have felt like when like Facebook came out or like MySpace and all that. Because like I understand why, but I don't understand why. Especially like I get it. Whatever. Why am I eating that still? You're a Bang Energy model or whatever. You show off your cleavage and you sell Bang Energy drinks. Okay, cool, and all that stuff. And I'm all for anyone of all ages to enjoy their life and have fun. But bro, you're 33 years old. You need to get a job.
Yeah.
Don't make TikToks. Don't do it.
As a tangent question, can somebody please explain to me what a Bang energy drink is and why are there so many influencers?
Because that's the smartest way to market it is just put it into every really pretty girl's hands and then you sell it and then everyone buys it. But Bang energy drinks are energy drinks that come with creatine in them, right? So if you're a male lifter, like I used to lift weights pretty seriously when I was in the military, and all that stuff. But creatine, if you know what you're doing and you're a guy, you don't want creatine if you're trying to build muscle and tone up because creatine puffs you out and makes you fluffy.
Water retention.
So, it's water. Yeah, you retain water and all that stuff. And so, like with Bang being so popular, that's why it's really popular among women because creatine's good for women. It's a good protein for women, and it's good for women's bodies because it works better with their bodies that produce estrogen more than they produce testosterone and all that stuff. But a Bang energy drink model is basically the version of like, if you can remember back, let's say 10 years ago when everyone was a DJ. And then 5 years ago when everyone bought a Canon Rebel and everyone was a photographer. So now a Bang energy model is that. And it's like 3 years ago when everybody was a hairdresser. And then now this is the slow evolution because social media is so ingrained with life. Bang energy exists by a guy, and I'm not trying to talk crap here, but the owner of the company, he used to be a really big fitness guy, and now you can tell like half of his body's just full of Botox, and he looks like he's sweating all the. It kind of looks like Papa John from Papa John's, all the time. But that's what Bang energy is like. That's why they're everywhere. Like Bang energy models, like none of them get paid. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a couple of the big names do, but like, oh, you get paid in a case of like really crappy tasting like cotton candy drink. And I'm sure I'm taking this way further than the question even warranted. I'm sorry, Adam.
No, because I've seen it everywhere, and I was just like, what is this? And then, when you see the videos, it is exactly what you said, but people are putting like time and effort into it, like big time. And
Yeah, so they're thinking like, because like it's a big name, so it's kind of like when people post pictures of their vape juice and they want to get reposted or reblogged or whatever that stuff is. You make the coolest and prettiest people do it on the internet, and then everyone else tries to emulate it to catch on to the coattails. That's marketing. That's pure marketing. That's all, like that's genius marketing. Like depending on your morals or your product, if it's good or not, that's the best marketing, is making people want to produce content for you. So that's why it's so popular. Like if we had social media when Mountain Dew was cool in the 90s like we do today, I guarantee you there'd be girls putting Mountain Dews in their cleavage, wearing the big puff jean coat jeans, or the ones with the chains and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it just happened to hit at a time where it's just not convenient for us to enjoy it. And like, at least for me, I'm at the age where I'm like, grumpy old man. I don't like it. So.
yeah, I'm not going to read out Anthony Ramilla's comment there, but 25 points to you, Anthony Ramilla. Absolutely.
Rolling back to something we mentioned before we got into this whole weird ass energy drink, people who actually exercise garbage. I'm going to tell you a story. Yeah. Back when I was actually younger and fitter and in shape, as when I was 13, so no pubes back in those days, or maybe 3 pubes.
It was 1875.
Yeah, pretty much. And there was this day where I had a plastic tennis racket, and it was just cheap garbage from Kmart or something. And I took the fluffy waistband from my house coat and I tied it to it so it was a guitar strap, so I could air guitar with it. And I stole my sister's eyeliner, and I thought Kiss was the coolest, so I had drawn the outline of Gene Simmons, but it didn't match. It wasn't done well, but I had drawn his makeup on my face and tried to fill it in just by coloring it, so it was really, really badly done. And of course, I didn't have the white face or anything. It was just black on ginger and freckles. And I was wearing my pajama bottoms, no shirt. I had the stereo cranked up playing Kiss, jumping around the bedroom, air guitaring and lip syncing to Kiss. And I'm turning around and I'm doing this thing, and I turn around and I see that my mom has been standing there in the doorway for like 4 minutes, just. And the look on her face is how I feel when I see TikTok.
I should bring my wife on. She's a massive fan of TikTok. But there's some very, very, all jokes aside, there's some very funny people out there, and she quite often sends me.
I don't hate on people for using the platform if you they've got like a talent and stuff. But I gotta tell you, like, what is it? I think Anthony said in the chat, we called it lip syncing. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I grew up in like the 2000s, 90s, early 2000s, and then after that, adulthood hit. But I remember sitting in the mirror, freaking rapping Dr. Dre or Eminem or 50 Cent or something. I'd be doing it in my private space in my private time. Yeah, I wasn't on like, look at me, ready?
Yeah,
and I was also 14.
Yeah,
but yeah. If you're a kid and you're doing it, that's cool. Do your thing. Yeah. But I have a weird penchant of like grown men that should be like, grown men out there, and then they're like, oh, and it's a song, it's like K-pop, and it's like, like I'm not. You can apply for a job. I'm not. If I was manager of Burger King, I wouldn't hire you. Like, get the fuck out of here. Go dance for quarters. Like, get out.
Right, that's my new career path.
Yeah.
Start lip syncing to K-pop.
So instead of TikTok, we stream to YouTube once a week.
The worst part is if Steve did it, he would probably get all the followers because it's a niche. It's a niche. Yep. It's a bearded guy.
Yeah, but see, I would be the dancing bear, and that's a whole different market.
That's the Adam and Eve free 20% off code.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's change tact. It's time for a little bit of motivational blah blahs. You can even this one was inspired by a big conversation and discussion around herd mentality. I guess herd mentality is coming into our everything at the moment, whether it be pandemics, epidemics, all sorts of stuff. And this one was quite, kind of inspired by that. And, people talking about doing their own thing and then just going down to follow the people. The path of the warrior is lifelong, and mastery is often staying on the path. It's a bit left field, this one, but I feel that, many people make decisions and then very quickly change tact because, they feel like they're alone in their decision or doing those kind of things. And I want to tell people that if you have that gut instinct and you feel like you need to make a change or a decision or whatever it is in your life that you're doing and you feel like you're doing it alone, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's one of those things you've got to stay the path. Stay the path of what you think is right. So there's a bit to unpack there, but like getting back to that situation, mastery, or if you want to insert a different word there, a task, communication. Yeah, indeed. The mastery part is just staying on that path. No doubt. So. Yeah.
The hardest part is staying on a path that it's going to scare you, because if you're going to do something like professionally or like recreationally or something that's going to be new, it's going to be scary, and that's probably the step you should take. And a lot of the time, like we were comparing it to like the warrior thing and all this stuff, you go your whole life training to like do something or be good at something or do something, and then the point is that it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. You know what I mean? And every day of your life's going to be a war to find your way to get to that point to where you want to be and who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better to stay on the path to do it instead of it's okay to take time off. It's understandable. You got to take time for yourself, but you don't lose sight and you don't lose vision of it, because that's going to be twice as much work to get to where you were halfway before.
Yeah. 100%.
I find it really interesting that you read that quote and you focused on the second part, which is staying on the path, and interpreted it as people pushing you or encouraging you or you giving up on yourself. And when you read that, and I've heard that quote before, I focus more, like my initial reaction to it is on the first part. It's a lifelong path, like anything that we want to do. I want to become a musician. It's a lifelong goal. It's a lifelong path. And if you're 60, you are still not there. You're still working, no matter 50 albums out, a shelf full of Grammys, you're still growing in that path. It's a lifelong pursuit. And I find that so many people in our world have a very short-term mentality about what they want to do. I want to be Joe Rogan, so I'm going to buy a whole bunch of stuff and have a channel. And why am I not Joe Rogan already? It's like, well, because you have to put in the time and effort and work and continue. It's never done. It's always tweaking and tinkering and learning and studying and refining, and it's all about discipline to get halfway to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you continue more.
There's another quote that was kind of tied in with that, and I'm going to murder it here. Was that if the doors aren't opening, then it maybe wasn't the door for you. But I also don't think that would have been a very applicable situation, because I still believe that just because you're tasks versus the word goal, that whole situation as well. But there's a point you've got to stop. Yeah. But in the same vein, like what you said, it's a lifelong thing, and if it's something that you want to do, then absolutely, yeah.
Just and the thing that you learn along that way is that it's an evolutionary process. Things change, priorities change, directions change for the better. Like when you're like 4 years old, 5 years old, and you're like graduating kindergarten or whatever you guys call it over there in Australia, everyone wants to be a police officer. You know what I mean? Do you still want to be a police officer now, or you want to still be an astronaut now? You know what I mean?
I definitely don't want to be Gene Simmons now.
Yeah, but he does want to play tennis in pajama bottoms and yeah.
But the point is, you got to keep working on that path to find that goal. You know what I mean? And if you get this,
pajama bottoms.
A lot of people.
I don't put on pants for you guys.
A lot of people find the issue is that you get to a certain point and you think, I've accomplished this. Now what? You keep going. You find the next thing that's different to it. You find something else with the knowledge that you've gained from that journey to start another journey. Don't pigeonhole yourself down to one thing. Like, be the best at whatever you can, and as close as you can to that. And when you feel like you've hit that apex, you know what I mean, you take that experience to the next thing. And that's why I remember as a kid, you'd see the people that seemed like the adults that had their stuff together, is because they're the ones that were able to consistently, like, stay on track and move to different things and be able to, like, attain different things and knowledge and growth. And that's all it is. And if you're alive, like any day that you're alive and you don't learn something new, in my personal opinion, you're not living.
Yep, 100%. You're competing against yourself, not the competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one big thing too I want to point out. If you're going out on a path and you're by yourself and you feel like you're alone, that's because no one else is you. No one else can provide what you have. No one else can understand you. It's cool to ask for advice from friends. Like, I have photos. I know what my vision is. I'll ask Adam or Steve, like, what do you guys think about this? I'll be dead honest. 90% of the time, I don't like what a lot of people say. And I'm like, all right, well, I can see what they're saying, and I'm just going to go this different way with it. But the thing is you got to provide what you can do. It's not like, I'm not trying to provide what Adam can do. I'm not trying to provide what Steve can do. And that's the biggest thing about your life too. You're not trying to get the same exact results like Steve did his whole life to get to where he's at now. You don't want to do the same exact path, but you can still do it with your own path to get to that end state to find the next step.
You don't want to go down my path. There's some very, very ugly things on that path.
Yeah, can vouch. Just as we're coming towards the last few minutes, I do want to bring attention to the 30th of this month, World Vape Day. I'm sure everyone's been hearing about it, but there are a couple of hashtags that I have running in the scroller at the bottom of the screen. I believe it's hashtag WVD21. And then also the hashtag of World Vape Day. Obviously, the 30th is going to cross quite a few time zones, and there's a whole bunch of stuff online. If you do have a look, there is a website, World Vape Day. I think it's .com. I should have checked that. I didn't check that. But World Vape Day as a hashtag, WVD21 as a hashtag. Tell your story, put some stuff out, tag a local MP, tag somebody else, tag a news outlet, that whole situation, because No Tobacco Day is also happening around that situation as well. We need everybody on board. We need the world to tell everybody about alternative methods of quitting combustible tobacco. So, yeah.
And I guarantee you, whatever politician or like doctor or whatever you guys call them over there, they're going to search, they're going to pay attention to what they get tagged on Twitter 10 times more. They're going to pay attention to the lifelong email you spent your heart right and about how this affected you.
Yeah.
It's way easier this way. Now, I'm not trying to please put your stories out there and hopefully you get the right politicians or whoever you're writing to listens. But you know how it's just like we do with social media. What do? Read the headlines. Twitter is basically just an app for headlines. So tap that headline, tag that person, and they're going to see it.
I put up, I did it a while ago, a couple of years ago. I just made a thread of my vape story, I guess my journey, and it's had that many, retweets and likes. I couldn't believe it, and I think in my brain that I'm just, going back on old material that everybody knows when really no one knows, and, it's been shared more than the last 30 tweets that I've done. So, these kind of things need to be reiterated all the time. And, this is a great time to do it. Leading up to it, after it, that whole situation. These are the things that regular humans, consumer advocates can do all the time. The more it's out there, the more it's being noticed.
And remember, when these things hit big times, like trending schedules on Twitter and stuff like that, you're going to be seeing a new audience of people that have never even heard about vaping advocacy or vaping at all. Make sure that your stories are the ones that they're reading, or your tweets are the ones that they're seeing, over the ones of the scare tactics and talking about kids, which actually isn't kids doing anything.
Yeah. Yep. Sons of Liberty Radio were talking about that today, about hijacking hashtags and that whole mindset. It's a very, very big thing that happens a lot, and is a way, like Vandal said, to get it into the markets that don't normally see it. So don't tag your regular people. Don't stay in the insular bubble that we live in. Tag those outside media outlets or locals, and that whole situation. Get other people engaged. Guess everybody.
What? I saw your advocacy post. I already advocated. Advocate to the people that need to see it. Advocate to the people that don't see your post. Advocate to the people that don't share the kata.
Yeah.
Advocate to the people that aren't in your circle. Because guess what? Your circle's already doing it. Open your circle.
Yep. Yep. Indeed. You just gave me an idea about a future show that I think we should do, because this is also something that's coming up, is the groups slash organizations slash, we'll just call them groups that effectively, at some point, do we have to allow funding to come, into these advocacy groups that comes, might be generated from tobacco, big tobacco. And I would like to, debate that situation on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Not now, but, maybe we should hook up a debate and get some smart people. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. I meant smart.
As long as they're only smarter, not better looking. I don't know.
Indeed, yes, definitely uglier, smarter people. Get those on, because I'd like to have that discussion. I've had many different trains of thoughts about tobacco money and funding, and the pros and cons against that, because we need help, no doubt, and should it come from the thing we're trying to get away from.
Tobacco has been proven to kill over 500,000 a year at least, and guess what? They're still on the shelf. They're still selling to people. You know why? They lobby to the politicians. They have the money to do it.
Yep.
And I know you said we weren't get into it, but keep this in mind for that show, for if you're in the chat or if you're on the panel with us, for ideas on why you think about it, because I think this is a great debate. I think this is a great debate.
Yeah. Get a council together and talk about that. Let's talk about that. Fellas, we're at the end of the show. Should we
already?
Yep. Yeah. Afraid so. Mr. Legion, tell us about your week coming up and what's going on.
If I had a sampler here, I'd hit a button and it would play the same thing I say every week, which is tomorrow morning on my channel, we will be having a coffee with me. We'll be hanging out, shooting the shit, talking about whatever the audience wants to do. That is Legion Vapes channel. Have a coffee with Legion Vapes every Wednesday. Come Sunday, we have the Aussie Vape Show. This week, we have a very special guest whose name completely escapes me because I'm old and that's just the way things go. But, I will also be joined by Adam, and he's awesome, and Squiddly, who's a big fan of the red tips. Take that however you want, because I know he does. In between all of that, I will be hastily scrabbling together some sort of reviews of some sort of products. You can't see it, but right above me on that side is right there. That's my list of review products. 3 of them have been scraped out. 4 of them are pod systems. I'm not really motivated, but I'll get through it. Other than that, just the usual garbage from me. Mr. Vandal, what are you up to this week?
So we'll be back. We took last week off for the Friday fallout. We'll be back this Friday, and we'll have a show, and then there'll be stuff on the show. And I think, no, not this show, but we'll do, I think we're going to switch it up, have a new game. But I don't know what it is yet, because guess what, guys? I haven't figured it out yet. It's not 5 minutes before the show, so obviously I haven't prepped. But we will be here, and we will, definitely be there.
Focus.
But
Focus. Yeah.
So Adam, what you got? Take us out. Ride us into the sunset, Big Poppy.
Oh yeah, Daddy. I myself don't have much going on. Obviously, the usual situations of support those that need the support. You can support me if you like by buying my coils from Victory Vape and Geelong Vape Co. And also a new vendor in Australia, 510 Inc., which is an online retailer in Sydney, I believe, which is really, really cool. But, very much appreciate all the feedback that everyone has in my inbox, if you know what I mean. Thank you very much. And we want to thank you in YouTube land for giving us your time and your energy. We love having you here, and it means the world to us. So thank you very much for hanging out. Fellas, it's always a pleasure. I guess we'll see you next week and stuff.
Love you. You're very special.
Yep. Yes, indeed. We will see you next week, everyone. Stay gorgeous. Yeah. That was very, very nice. Yeah, we'll see you next week, everyone.
Sorry.